Welcome back to our session of the Lok Sabha. The first motion that I'll be waiting for is a motion to resume debate like yesterday. So, are there any motions on the floor?
Motion to resume debate.
Are there any motions on the floor?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Delegate.
Motion to resume debate.
That is accepted, delegate. We'll vote on the same. All delegates wishing to support the motion. So the motion unanimously passes. We'll now resume debate. Today, what we'll start with is we'll continue with the LOS. A few speakers could not speak yesterday because of technical difficulties. We'll start with them and then we'll continue on the list. On the list, we are at number 16. We'll start on the list. We're officially at Mr. E.K. Palaniswamy, and after that, Mr. Yogi Adityanath, then Mr. Mamta Banerjee, then Bhagwant Mann, then Ashok Gehlot, Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy, and Mr. Narendra Modi. That'll be the order of speaking today. But before that, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal couldn't speak yesterday because of technical difficulties. So the first speaker for today will be Mr. Arvind Kejriwal. Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, as in when you're ready.
Greetings to all the delegates. Am I audible?
Yes, you are, delegate.
Okay. So with the permission of the speaker, I, Arvind Kejriwal from the Aam Aadmi Party, would like a minute of your time to talk about how training of all medical students to compensate for the lack of medical staff is not a viable option for the country at the moment. Before moving ahead with this discussion, I would like to bring attention to the fact that we are currently in the middle of an unprecedented global pandemic. And as per the predictions made by the Health Ministry, the number of cases are expected to show a rise in coming few weeks. Now, by a simple equation of more patients, more should be the number of health workers to tend to them. It does seem likely that we would need to amplify the number of working doctors. And simply pulling in students who are to be doctors in the future seems like a viable option on the surface. But before we jump to this conclusion, we need to take a step back and factor in other important aspects. Most of these students that we're talking about, they have little to no experience in treating patients. Even the doctors with years and years of experience are out of their wits on how to deal with the crisis. So my belief is that by exposing these students to an increased health risk environment of a hospital, we would create another crisis, and this could actually backfire into making them a liability on the healthcare system. If we were to have this discussion a year from now, when the crisis hopefully resolves or is under control, with the point of discussion being whether it would be beneficial to have medical students prepared for a crisis in the future, then I would stand on your side. But right now, in the current situation of a crisis, I don't think that it's viable to do so. This pandemic can be a learning point for us to better our healthcare system in future. By inculcating medical students for this, we can create a better healthcare system for future. But right now, considering the different practicalities, this motion fails, and hence it brings up the need to consider other alternatives. Alternatives like recruiting private practitioners, retired personnel, non-clinical graduates, and Ayush workers. I would further continue with this discussion and the questions from my delegates. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Would you yield to questions or comments?
Question. I would deal to questions.
Any and all wishing to ask questions, please raise your hands. Huh? Okay. Shivraj Singh Chauhan, followed by Vijay Rupani. Shivraj Singh Chauhan, your question, please.
My question to the fellow delegate is that this has already been put in the Lok Sabha House of Commons that procurement of the retired doctors is not feasible because they are at increased risk of comorbidity. How would you tackle with such a crisis if that takes place? Also, we know that the final year MBBS students are also subjected to clinical exposure from the second year itself, according to the MCI guidelines. So, why do you think that this is not a feasible option? Thank you.
Do I have the right to reply?
Yeah, yes, Delegate. It's a question you can directly answer.
Yes. So, like my delegate asked me the first question on how we are supposed to deal with the retired personals who are more susceptible to the infection or who are more susceptible to getting infected themselves. There is no denying that these loopholes, these problems exist. But at the same time, the factor of these doctors being more susceptible to the infection, it's because of their age group. And in the same way, these medical students are more susceptible to the infection because of their lack of experience, because there will be more risk of negligence. So this the problem stands for both these groups. And if we have to come with solutions, there have to be solutions to be taken at both the sides. But considering these retired personnel, since they have more experience, since they can tackle the situation better, the solutions to be taken on this group would be easier for us. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you,
Do I
Delegate.
have the right to reply?
Delegate, please do that so it's it because we're running a little bit short on time right now.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. CM Vijay Rupani, your question, please.
या आई वाज सेइंग दैट कि जैसे आपने बोला जो रिटायर्ड डॉक्टर्स हैं उनकी जैसे एज 60 इयर्स अबव है तो वो एज अ वेक्टर ऑफ कोरोना वायरस एक्ट नहीं करेंगे और जैसे हमारी कंट्री में जो हेल्थ जो रिक्वायरमेंट्स है लाइक वेंटिलेटर्स की वो काफी शॉर्टेज है तो फिर क्या उस पे लोड ज्यादा नहीं पड़ेगा
I think what you're saying stands true for any health worker working in a hospital, not just a retired personnel. This stands true for medical students as well. This stands true for any health worker associated with a hospital. These are risks that we have to tackle with any age group, with any healthcare worker. So I don't think that it creates a conflict on whether a retired personnel should be used or not. Because these are risks, these are things that we have to tackle with anyway.
Okay, Delegate. Thank you so much. Yes, K. Chandrasekhar Rao, what's your doubt? What point do you have, Delegate?
I'd like to ask a question to the
Delegate,
delegate.
only two questions were recognized. At that time, you could have asked, but now you will have to do so through chat.
Okay.
Yes. Recognizing the same delegates before we move on. Yes, for all of those who were missing yesterday, a lot of discussion happened about the crisis that was presented before the House yesterday, and basically, in the crux of the resolution, what happened was they chose to withdraw about 30 to 35,000 crores from the consolidated funds that the state houses, including schemes which are redundant in current times. Post which we moved on to discussion on the main agenda, and the last session was just about resolving the crisis. We had a working paper and a resolution, which is, I think, the deputy speaker has given it to all of the members of the house. If he hasn't, he'll in soon transfer it to all of the members.
Can you repeat what
did you give the past resolution to the house?
The resolution, I think it's already there on the group. If it's not there, I'll resend it.
Okay, yes, exactly. So for all those who were absent, can read the resolution and you'll know basically what we resolved to yesterday. And now we're back to the main agenda, which is the viability of training medical students. Moving on from there, the next speaker on the list of speakers today is the Chief Minister Tamil Nadu, E.K. Palaniswamy. Your speech, please.
Good morning, House. Respected Speaker, sir. I am thankful that you have provided me a chance to speak in today's House. Sir, each and every citizen of this nation is familiar with the huge health and economic crisis India and world is going through. So this is not a time to counter the government on the pertaining issues. This is a time to stand side by side and to support government in every possible way. So my party and I as Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, with the blessing of Amma J. Jayalalitha, with the central stands with the central government and on whatever decision it takes. And our state government expects the same from central government in providing the relief funds and equipments. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Real 2 comments, please.
Thank you, Dalgit. Okay, any comments on that speech? Dr. Shashi Tharoor, followed by KC Rao. Anybody whose video is off and wants to speak, you can say it out now. Okay, then there'll be these two, Shashi Tharoor and KC Rao. Mr. Shashi Tharoor, your comment, please.
I don't think, as my fellow delegates said, that they at any moment care about the lives of the young medical students. So that is a bit vague thinking of them.
Okay,
That's
delegate.
it.
So has been noted. Mr. KC Rao, your comment, please.
I would like to thank Mr. Edapati for his support, and I think all parties require the support to the central government that you just mentioned, and it is the need of.
Okay, thank you, delegate. Mr. E.K. Palaniswamy, would you like to reply to any of the comments?
No, thank you.
Thank you, delegate. So, in that case, we'll move on to the next speaker on the list of the speakers, Yogi Adityanath, Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, please.
Greetings, Honorable Chair and my fellow delegates. It's not a revelation that the current COVID-19 crisis has plagued the globe. It also mirrors our failure to contain it globally. The delegate emphasizes that the country's most populous state is ailing from a chronic shortage of doctors and an overdose of apathy. Furthermore, the plight of the doctors in this pandemic has cast light on their dilapidated and overburdened public healthcare system, which for years has been starved of funds and overhaul. India spends only 1.3% of its GDP on public healthcare system, which according to the WHO is one of the lowest. Shortage of